evening, good afternoon, and good night. My name is Bruce, and you have joined us on another exciting episode of A Girl, a Guy, and a Movie. And tonight's movie is a discussion that we started three weeks ago with the movie Pitch Black. And Janet wanted to continue this film. And just for those of you keeping count, we are on episode 41. Janet, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you?
No complaints. It was a Monday and it's over. The worst of the week has reared its ugly head and we've slain it. And now we have 4 days of joy before we have Saturday. So,
Well,
um, I want to say hello to our friends that have joined us from the chat room. That
awesome.
would be Mr. Six Nation 31 Kings, the Crafting Gamer, Shadow and Sun, and possibly Sun, and Flady One. There will be others that'll be joining us from affiliate networks here too. Uh, Janet, 2004. Did you see this movie in the theater?
Um, Maybe. I think I might have. There is another one after this one, right?
Yep.
Okay, I know for sure I saw that one at the movie theater, but I think I saw this one at the movie
Okay.
theater too. But yeah, I liked it.
I didn't see this in theater. I went to go see this, and it had performed so poorly at the Springfield Theater where I was going to that they had pulled it out 2 days early. And they had stuck something else there in 2004. I couldn't tell you. It might have been another showing of Passion of the Christ, or it might have been Dawn
Oh,
of
I
the Dead.
forgot that the Passion of the Christ came out at the same time because it swallowed up everything.
Yeah, that was the real challenge, and nobody saw that coming. I mean, Christians always hope like Christians are worse than than the fucking Cowboys fans. If
Yeah.
Cowboys fans witness the Cowboys win an expedition game, like, oh man, I can feel it. We're getting another ring this year. Christians are worse because like they see a Christian-based movie coming out, and they're like, oh man, Kirk Cameron's putting out another Christian movie. I think this one here is going to hit mainstream, and they're like, and it'll have the right script. It'll have Kirk Cameron. It'll have Kevin Sorbo. It'll have Kelsey Grammer, and nobody sees it in release. Nobody sees a. Excuse me. Hold on. Churches will take van loads of people to see that film, but regrettably, churches are so underattended nowadays.
Yeah.
It's terrible. And
Hmm.
so whenever I went to go see Passion of the Christ the first time, it was on opening day. And the second time our church took us for like $20. We all got like popcorn and drinks and ticket, and we were like, "Yay, let's go!" And we filled up an entire theater between us
Yeah.
and two other congregations. That's what happens. You have a good one like Passion of the Christ come out, and that's just how it is. And
Yeah.
before the movie went, go ahead.
I remember going to see it, and it was packed every time. I mean, I went like I think I went and saw it three times with three different, different people, and it was always packed. People were standing in line for all the different viewings. I even think they had like three theaters playing the exact same movie.
See, that's what
So
Springfield had just constructed a brand new theater with stadium style seating. And what that means is that basically the the Passion of Christ, yeah, she saw it three times. I saw it twice. It is a rough watch, but it I don't know. At the very end, there seems to be like a little bit of hope. There's a really good guitar riff that comes out, and that's about it. But um, the theater they put in Springfield, like finally we could go to Springfield, Illinois, the capital of the state, and not have to go to some little rinky-dink town 50 miles away in Pana. That they had these stairs that you had to walk down to your seat, and it was like the screen was real close to you because they had it built at a 45-degree angle for the seating, and so you were like 8 inches away from the guy right behind you and the guy right in front of you. It
Yeah.
was really weird, but that was neat. This movie I was supposed to go see, and I couldn't because they'd already taken it out of theaters. They were disappointed. And then in 2005, I bought the DVD, the
Uh-huh.
director's cut DVD. Which, are you familiar with this or no?
The one I have that I watched, it's the trilogy with the Pitch Black, Riddick, and Dark Fury in it.
Okay.
So it was a collector's like box. That's what I bought when
Now,
I
your version
did
of
it.
Chronicles of Riddick, on your version, does it have at the start of it, before you do anything, does it have the Lord Imperator's helmet with convert or some sort of thing at the bottom, which is supposed to represent Riddick, where it says fight? Does yours do that?
Um, I can't remember, but when I started it
Okay.
last night to watch it again, I think it was the director that was talking, so I might have a
David Twohy.
director's cut of it.
Okay. So you watched the director's cut. Okay. The other way you can tell if it was a director's cut or not is that there's a cut scene right when they're getting ready to leave that miserable burning planet. There's a big fight, and Vaco is about ready to kill Riddick, and Riddick has a flashback, and a woman puts her hand on his
And
chest.
on his chest, yeah.
If you saw that, you saw the director's cut.
Yeah,
Because
that was at the
theatrical cut, she's not
beginning.
there.
Yeah.
She's not there at all. In the theatrical cut, she's not even in it. Could you imagine doing the movie, doing costuming, being fed, measured, being on scene in front of a green screen, being there, hanging out, eating lunch with Vin, and then when you go watch the movie with your friends, you get to find out firsthand that you're not in it?
Well, yeah, because you end up on the editing room floor. Happens all the time.
Yeah, and Twohy thought that she had
Or
such a
the
good character.
outtakes, the
Yeah.
outtakes on the outside of the movie.
Well, the director's cut puts her back in it, and it puts in some more work, and it puts more characters in the film. It's a richer experience, but that's the easiest way for me to tell people, like, you saw the director's cut or no.
Yeah, but the scene in the movie when he is having the vision after he's right before he's brought back by the what was his name? I guess he was like a preacher or something for the necromongers. The one that
Purifier.
the purifier is like a preacher, I guess. But when he saves him, it keeps him from getting burned up because he's a Furian too. And he has the print on his chest. You see her in that part of it. You don't remember that?
I do remember that.
Okay, so it's also at the beginning, the longer version of his memories of him when he was a baby in a crib, and he sees that guy going from one person to the other, killing the babies or trying to kill the babies. The sons, for some reason, he ends up living and is born. Remember?
Yeah, he was born with the cord wrapped around his throat, if I remember right.
Yeah, but he lived. So, but the necromonger leader or whatever tried to kill all the boys, knowing that the prophecy said that he was going to be, his demise was going to come from.
So it was a good idea, if there's ever a prophecy that somebody will come foretold and herald your doom, to murder that person while they're still a child. It's harder to do it when they're grown because of
Yeah,
law.
it's just like in the Terminator.
Yeah.
When the Terminator kept going, it's being sent back over and over again to try to, and finally to try to get rid of the kid. Get rid of him.
The movie.
Sorry.
Did you ever watch like the outtakes or the cut scenes or no?
No, I didn't watch any of those.
Okay, because
not this time.
The original version of the script was really slow. You have Toombs there with two rifles, one in each hand, kind of like Clint Eastwood in Where Eagles Dare, and you got them both pointed at at Riddick, and he's trying to sound cool, and Riddick is kind of posturing and doing his Vin Diesel look over the shoulder sort of thing and playing it very, very coy. But he ends up besting Toombs in a very poorly done confrontation scene. And
Yeah.
the scene they show us instead with the little skiff flying over the blasted rock and then snow with Vin Diesel with his dreadlocks, that's a much better scene. So
Yeah,
they could have
and
given
he's
us
got
more.
the frozen ice on his hair and all that stuff. I thought that was a really good scene. I really liked it. And the cool textured ground that he's running across where he's having to leap from one to another,
Yes,
because it's almost like a humongous maze of like terraforming or something like that going on. And I thought that was a really good scene. And he's super fast. Now, see,
yeah,
the one thing that uh, was different from the beginning of the movie into the scene towards the very end, where he has that blaze, where you see him moving in his shadow. You can see his
mhm,
shadow because he's moving at such a fast speed
yes,
that he doesn't really realize he has that power. I mean, he's fast and very agile and all that throughout the movie, but you don't realize he doesn't even realize who he is and what his capabilities are until after he
after
has
that
that
fight with
vision.
the Lord Imperator.
Yeah. So when he
Um,
has that vision from the woman, right near death, when he's near death, it's both times he was near death is when he saw her. It was like the gateway was opening and she's able to reach through and let him know that who he is, or try
hey, it's
to.
not your time.
Yeah, it's not your time. And I don't know if anyone in your normal life, depending on what you're going through, um, some people have visions like that in their dreams, or they almost drown and they have that type of you know thing happen to them, where they have like some kind of memory, or they think that they're close to going to heaven, or they're floating above their body and they see people doing certain things to them, but they don't feel anything. So there's so many different aspects of that whole thing that he went through, that I think a lot of different people, no matter what your religion or whatever, could connect with that scene. When he's going through that, because I thought it
Yeah,
was really good, and I thought they did a really good job of making it, the people watching it understand that he's having some type of vision. You know, uh, uh, I don't know, a spiritual awakening or something like that. So to me, it was definitely I thought it was really good that they put that in there, because it made you realize that he's special. In another way besides just being a really good thief and being able to get out of places, and being double jointed, and some of the other things that we remember from the first movie. When he twisted his shoulders all the way around, was able
yes.
to get off of that pipe. I remember that. All that just stuck in my head. I just could not. Oh, that was gross.
Between
But
that scene and Riggs getting out of the straitjacket and Lethal Weapon 2,
yeah,
my body hurts watching shit like that.
yeah, and you can hear the popping sounds. It's just it grosses you out, but it's just you can't not stare at it. You know what I mean? It's one of those types of scenes. But it's so, to me, if you hadn't seen the first one, then that all of that basically was washed away. You didn't really understand what was going on. But to me, that was like an automatic connection to the first movie to me. You know what I
Um,
mean?
yeah. Real quick, I want to just stop talk on the movie just for a moment. We got a buddy of ours in chat, Hungar, not exactly in the healthiest body out there, but he put something. He's like, "Hey, Bruce, just wanted to let you know I got released from the hospital today. Still contagious. I'm still quarantining, but I'm doing better." If you,
Awesome.
if if you guys in the chat and those of you watching this later on can just take a minute or two and just say a prayer or silent prayer and just ask Lord to lay your healing hands upon our friend Hungar down in the land of freedom, known as Florida, and let him be able to enjoy going outside and frolicking and chasing down the soon-to-be spring break babes, and let him do the things that a good man should do. Or if he's not frolicking, if he's got a wife and he's married, let him spend great quality time with her. But this in and out of the hospital thing, the healing hand, is what I'm really asking for. I like to see that. He's been in and out of the hospital for the past 3 months, and that might be a constant the rest of his life. I'd rather it not be. I was just asking, and that's probably me being selfish and be like, hey, I'm going to flex my Christianity. No, I'm not. I want this dude to be healthy. He's a friend of mine.
Yeah, bless you. I hope you do feel better. Get back on your
feet, Hungar,
and live your life. That's what I want to see.
Bunch of people happy to read what Hungar said there. All right. The situation with Toombs and with Riddick, it resolves.
The scene where they're in that little skip, is that what you called it?
Yes.
The little ship, and you got the two guys hanging from some type of apparatus that you would use for mountain climbing or something, and they have these really cool, they almost look like the guns that you use when you're hunting underwater.
Yeah, look like harpoons.
That's what they look like to me, like harpoon guns. But I've seen different types of harpoons that you can use in the water too, that shoot out like net type things like that for octopus and other different like puffer fish, different things like that. So they don't actually shoot it and bring blood and everything into the water. They've made these little things kind of like what you saw them shooting, which I thought were freaking cool. I forgot how cool those were, those nets, and they have the barbs on all the little points on it, like an umbrella, to where they stick into the ground. So when they do trap the person, they can't get up. So because it sticks them, it like pins them to the ground or to whatever it is that the rope sticks to. But I thought that was really, really cool. But that line that he says about he says, so throw on a fresh pair of panties and let's get this right. I thought that was a really funny thing to say in the moment that he said it for his character. It was, I don't know, it made me laugh. I thought it was really funny, and I'd forgotten him say that. So it was like, it got me pumped up right at the beginning, because I do like the banter between all of the bad guys, like on the ships and stuff. They're picking on each other because they do know little personal items, on different people, and them doing these personal digs and stuff. It reminded me of that movie, The Expendables.
Yes.
The scenes in between them that I enjoyed immensely in those movies. Even in Red, remember the Reds movies? How they did
Retired Extremely Dangerous.
Yeah, they do the little jabs at each other and stuff, because that to me brings it to reality, because who doesn't do that with their buds,
Exactly.
We all do that. I mean, look, like last weekend or last Saturday when we were playing DD, we're all doing that to each other, because that's it's like a sign of friendship, when you can goof around with each other and but
give playful jabs.
Yeah, it's playful, but it means that you kind of have a little respect for the person, but you also trust them to a degree. And he trusted them, even though he didn't trust them, but he knew that they were predictable. You see what I mean? So he used them in so many different ways, and to me, that's what made it more believable that they were all mercs, because they did use each other. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And they knew just enough about their character to use it to their advantage when the time came to do it. So I liked it. I thought that the banter between the all of the mercs was really, really good. The same thing as you saw in the movies with Deadpool movies when he was a merc, in the
Yep.
Wolverine part, how they were all around the fire and stuff, and they were all digging at each other and different things. It's just something, the banter between the fighters and the warriors or whatever. So I liked it. I thought it was a really good scene, the whole thing. And then when the tubes looks to the side, there's nobody there. I thought that was funny too. So, it just, I don't know. I just thought it was a little over the top, because how can you be so quick and so fast when you're half frozen, basically? But you don't realize that he's special. He's from a special race of people that has different kind of powers than just a normal human. But you don't know that at the time. But I still thought it was funny, and it made it more entertaining. And then the other guy disappears too, and when he falls and he lands down there, hits a couple rocks on his way down, and he lands down there. And then next thing you know, Toombs is laying on top. I just thought the whole scene was really good. So it was exciting, but that's what we were hoping and we wanted to happen, because if he gets kidnapped at the very beginning or dies at the beginning of the movie, it's not going to be very good, because there's no Riddick and Riddick. You know what I mean? Sorry, I'm going to be drinking a lot because I'm dehydrated, because I'm taking all these pills for my sinuses.
Fair enough. This the starting scene with him and Toombs facing off against each other after he pretty much rips the rest of his crew out and either kills them or he throws them in the snow, which we don't really see. He's just moving very, very fast.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. When I'm watching this, I'm having to remember, oh wait, he's Riddick, and I wasn't used to what he could do when I first watched it. I wasn't in the mindset initially.
So when you watched this movie at the movie or whenever you got on the DVD, had you already seen the other movie, the first one?
The first one, Pitch Black, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I thought, I don't know. It just, to me, it seemed like when you saw him running, you pretty much knew that there was bounty hunters after him because of what we found out about him in the first movie. So that to me wasn't a surprise. Now, how he got separated from the girl and the gentleman, that the imam or whatever you want to call him, where they were, that I didn't know at that time what had happened, and how, it had been 5 years? Is that what it said? Yeah. So and plus I thought it was really cool, the landscapes that they gave the different planets, because they all had a very cool names for the planets, like what was it called, crematorium or something like that. The
crematoria.
Crematoria. I mean, that's just really, to me, it seemed like the writers, I think there were brothers that wrote this, really had were in tune to trying to come up with things that sounded futuristic, but not stupid. What was the name of this? Something Prime.
Helion Prime.
Yeah, Helion Prime. I thought that, those were really cool names, and the choices that they chose for the landscape, like the one where he's trying to get to the cavern, away from the skip, and him being able to use that to his advantage to capture the people and then be able to get the ship so he can leave. I thought all that was very good. I mean, it was like something that you would think someone who's been stealing and selling things to certain people for a long time would be able to do. And he's quick on his feet, and he's got a really good memory about remembering different things and how to do certain things. So to me, it opened up more for his character from the first movie, just to be able to see what he just was able to do by getting that ship from those mercs.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Uh,
I,
uh,
I, I think they
I like
broadened
that.
his character very well. I think they took the Riddick character into a direction that we were wanting to see developed. And at the time, we were kind of spoiled in 2004 because we had just watched 3 consecutive years of the Lord of the Rings films, and we had not so much of a brag point, but we did have the Star Wars prequels come out kind of recently, and when we get to this movie here, they don't have quite the budget that either of those films have, and they don't have the. I'm not going to make fun of David Twohy, but he's not as a skilled director as, say, George Lucas. And George Lucas isn't that skilled of a director. He's just got a really good wife at the time.
Yeah.
But then you also have Peter Jackson, and David Twohy's not Peter Jackson either. But both Twohy and Riddick or Vin Diesel wanted to make a saga that could stand scrutiny like the Lord of the Rings films do, and they almost succeed. I mean, I'm not going to say this movie's perfect because it's far from perfect, but it does really good with what it's got for the 115 million it grossed, which is pretty good. Like it almost made its money back because they weren't really pushing the movie nearly as hard as they did Pitch Black back in 1999. Hey, Mr. George Lucas, how you doing? Good to see you.
Yeah, I thought it was. I'm sorry. I thought it was interesting right off the bat about why this movie didn't make any money. I was really surprised because I thought, from my memory, I was like, it was such a good movie, and so many people say, "Oh, the sequel sucked." It didn't have anything to do with the first movie. Blah blah blah. And this one did. To me, it seemed like it was a fitting second part of Riddick's character arc. You know what I mean? So the story fit for his type of character. And I was just surprised. But when you said that other movie it was competing against, I mean, the Passion of the Christ, like it killed all the other movies because people, not most people don't have the money to go see, a different movie every weekend. So once you've paid all the money and you take your whole family, because either you have a movie where the mom takes the kids or the dad takes the kids, and sometimes the parents take the kids, or the parents go to see a movie, but then they're going to go see it again. You know what I mean? So it just depends on the situation. But man, I don't remember going to the theater where there wasn't lines and lines of people to go see The Passion of the Christ. So I forgot about that movie, and because when I sent you that picture from the
Rotten
internet,
Tomatoes.
yeah, when I said this is shite, because it's funny how if the movie sucks, or I didn't think it was very good, the critics loved it. So basically, whenever I go look and it says the critics love it, then I don't usually go watch it because it's not going to be what I'm interested in watching, which is funny. And I like this movie, and its rating was in the 20s
Yeah.
by the critics. I was just shocked. I was like, I don't know.
Okay. First off, not everybody that goes to the movie theaters is a Frank Frazetta person. But if you keep your eyes open in this movie, there's 3 instances off the top of my head where I can see where they took inspiration from Frank Frazetta Conan comic book covers, and they did it in this movie. And it was amazing. And I thought, oh wow, I've seen this before. My dad and I are watching this together for the first time, and he's like, what do you see? Because my dad, he's not digging it. He's like, it's just Vin Diesel, and Vin Diesel's acting like Vin Diesel. He's a low
Yeah.
budget rock. And I'm like, Dad, come on, he's not that bad. He's like, what do you see that I'm not? And I explained to my dad about the Frank Frazetta stuff. And I couldn't take him on the internet and show him this back in 2004 because we didn't have the resources in 2004 that we have in 2023.
Yeah.
Whereas now, if I just want to prove a point, I merely just do a Bing search and I'm like, okay, here you go, blah. And I throw an article or two at somebody, or like somebody asked me for a movie and I give them a Daily Motion link. Here you go, watch it, have fun. But there's a few scenes in this movie that are directly ripped off of a Frazetta, Conan the Barbarian, Marvel Comics comic book. And if you know what I'm talking about, when you watch it next time, you'll be like, holy shit, he's right. Yeah. And they mentioned that specifically in the director's cut in the commentary.
Well, just like we say almost every week, we have to remember that the directors and the producers are just people like us, and they have likes and dislikes. Just like I said, many times I've been on a set and a woman will show up, or another, a man or whatever, and the director will say, that person, I don't like this person. They look like my ex-wife, or their voices, I don't like their voice. I want them off the set. So, and whatever the director says, they get. Okay, because they're the boss, they're the top boss, and everybody does what the director says. So, whether it's good or bad or stupid or whatever, it doesn't matter. Everyone's going to do whatever the director says, and it's going to be done that way. That's just the law, basically. So when he wants something, he's pretty much going to get it. And honestly, I thought that I didn't find anything wrong with the sets, the vision, the direction, the costumes. I thought fit wherever they were going or whatever. Like the necromongers.
They got the characterization right between the planets. They have the proper wardrobe for various people of various cultures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that they did well at that. Even though I read a couple of the critics' comments on over the top, crappy sets, the costumes were ridiculous, and just stuff like that. It was like these critics were just nitpicking every detail of everything because they just don't like, either they don't like Vin Diesel, or they don't like this director, or I don't know what it is I didn't like. But it seemed like, have you ever watched I've seen people watch like sports, and you've got tennis or you have a football game, and it seems like every call that's made by the refs are like purposely to hurt one of the players. You know what I mean? And I've seen that a few times, and I'm not even a big sports person, but sometimes I feel like they're biased to a degree to someone. So, and I honestly feel that way about some of these critics, about them not liking somebody that had something to do with this production, because I don't see how all these bad ratings that I read are believable, because I don't see that at all in any part of the movie.
No.
I thought everybody's characters were right on spot. Like the woman, she was gorgeous too.
Sandy Newton.
Is that her name?
Randy Newton, the wife of
yes,
Rocco.
Yes, she was gorgeous. Her outfits were beautiful. I mean, she played a very believable, domineering woman that wanted her man to be the top dog, basically, and she was willing to suck his dick or whatever it took to get him to be the number one guy. And I mean, to me, she was the perfect woman for any man with an ego. She's the one that feeds his ego on it. She stroked him constantly. She wanted to look gorgeous for him all the time, and she wanted to get his goat when she felt like he needed it, like to make him jealous, to make him more active, to get in a fight. I mean, she used him, but she did it to get him to be the top dog. And that's why I think he was like very attracted to her, simply because he knew that with this woman, he could conquer anything, basically. They were
Yes.
like a dynamic duo of a kick-ass couple is what I loved about it. I thought the two played well off each other, and they did their parts extremely well, to portray backstabbing. Um, what's that other word I'm trying to think of?
Conniving,
Yeah,
plotting,
they
agenda laden.
yeah, they were all of it. And they did the package well, I felt like those two were the standout characters to push the story, because um, we knew Vin Diesel had a reason to be there. His character, because what we found out that he was what was it called? A Furian?
Furion. Yep.
Okay. And that his whole race was basically taken out by the necromongers, and that the leader of the necromongers was responsible for killing all the boys except for him, basically, and his second man, that was the one that helped free him and saved his life so he could fulfill his destiny, basically. I keep calling him a preacher, but you called him something else.
Imam, the purifier.
Yeah, the purifier. Gosh, why is that so hard for me to remember? But he was also a Furian. So, but he was weak. He wasn't the chosen one. He wasn't the one. But he did have balls, because he was going totally against, like in his own temple, when he basically helped Vin Diesel's character get away from the entrapment of the magnet thing that was holding him in the middle of all those witches.
Yes.
The seers, or whatever you want to call them. So he went against everyone in that whole ship by pushing that button to free him, and if anyone saw him, he could have been killed instantly. I mean, someone, his army could have killed him. So he was brave, and he did want out of it, but he didn't know how else to do it. So when he found out, or he realized in his soul or his being, or whatever you want to call it, that he knew that Riddick was the one, and he was the one that was going to get revenge for all of his people, from his past. Just like he said, we all came from somewhere else. Basically, he said that a few times in the movie. So his character had a really good character arc, because he went from talking people into sacrificing themselves to the necromongers, into freeing and helping the one person that could free all of them. You know what I mean? For the good of everyone, sacrificed himself, basically. So he was a very strong, powerful character himself, which I really liked for his character arc. I loved, that was the first thing that popped in my head when I saw that scene, was he's wearing this helmet and he's doing all this fighting and sweating and everything that you have to be, and he takes it off and his hair is perfect. So I kind of got a good giggle out of that, because he looks like he has a lot of mousse. You know what I mean?
That brings back some 1980s Aquanet laden days right there. And I mean, he had his hair so hard and gelled, it looked like it. I wonder how the helmet actually fit over it.
Yeah, he probably didn't. I mean, you know what I mean? He probably didn't even have it on for very long, and it probably had some type of matting or something inside of it. So when he did have it on, it pressed on the sides of his head so that the top part wouldn't touch the top of the helmet. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he'd look a certain way when he took, because you could tell he took really good care when he was taking it off to look appropriate. But he's a fine looking man. I tell you, he's a good looking guy. I even like him in The Boys. I think he's rough and I mean, I could go for him. But I just think he's a very attractive man. But he just looked really good when he took that. I was expecting him, because you just saw all the stuff they just did before they came in the ship, right? and marching around and smoky, and it's got all this stuff going on. And he takes his thing off and he looks perfection. He's a 10. You know what I mean? I just thought that was kind of funny, but it was still good, because I didn't expect it to be, I don't know. I didn't expect it to be a perfect movie, and not have any little dorky things going on, because the first movie had dorky things, Star Trek and Star Wars and all these other things that we really love and that we go back and watch more than once has the quirkiness in it. There's, like Galaxy Quest. I mean, there's just certain things about some movies that the quirky things in it are part of its charm. I don't know how else to explain it, but that one scene when he did do that, that's the thing that popped in my head was, wow, he looks perfect, like he hadn't spent a day outside at all.
No.
He took off his helmet, but it was a good scene though.
And that scene there, that follows after the raid on Helion Prime, where all the necromongers pretty much storm the city, and they have like a Joe Biden style military response where nobody can fight back.
Yeah.
Not a single person fights back. Like, oh, it's just a fucking weather balloon. Don't worry. Just let it sail over the entire goddamn country. It'll be fine.
Yep, definitely. But you know what? The whole scene where all the ships were coming in and the defenses start to shoot back, you see the cannons going off. And I'm like, this is a very futuristic movie. And this is a beautiful planet, and it's got all these people and ginormous, gorgeous architecture and all this different stuff, but they don't even know there's something coming towards their planet. We can tell that we're very what do you call it? We're not very advanced in our country right now, in our world, the way that these characters and these planets were in this movie, for where they're supposed to be for the future, right? And we can see a comet coming from very, very far away. So the fact that these people were able to sneak up on them and not even be seen until they came into their atmosphere, unless they used some kind of special portal or whatever, but that wasn't like self-explanatory to me when they all started coming in. And then all of a sudden they start shooting and stuff. So, and then their ships started coming out and things, and they're fighting and everything. But the way that the ships rolled off of the big statuesque looking ships that stuck themselves down in the ground, I don't know. I just thought all of that was really cool. It was very detailed. I just thought they did a really good job on all of that type of thing when it came to the scenery of the necromongers ships, and the way that the ships had the smaller fighter jets and stuff all like stuck to the side, like with magnets or whatever. So
they're just on like little catapults, and then they'd fling themselves off, and that was it, and that was very well done. Somebody put thought into it. That was the part that made me
there was a lot of
happy.
detail, and that was what I think one of the reasons why that this director was able to get this movie, because I think he's had the vision of that. He could see the details when it came to certain parts of the movie to put that in there for the viewers. Because, look at the awe. I mean, I know I was in awe watching Dune the first time and then watching the new Dune. And I thought the new Dune was really good. Okay. The scenery was just breathtaking to me. And sometimes people enjoy that stuff. And the little details, I'm not saying it's a documentary where you're just like, oh, look at this and look at that, talking about all the little bugs and the whatever, every grain of sand. It's just that the overall landscape views and things like that, it just add vastness, and you could use your imagination a little more about what the rest of the planet looked like and how many more cities are there. And, all this different stuff comes to mind. And it was nice to see that the director's vision was trying to show you the damage that the necromongers have been doing by just going to these different planets and annihilating them. Like when they flew off of the other one after they put those giant like bombs into the ground, and you saw them going off here, there, and they're just spread out and basically burning the planets to nothing, right? To nothingness. So because of their weapons, they were very powerful and they were very strategic about destroying wherever they left. So when they left nothing but devastation. They didn't leave anyone left alive. That's why it was so important that we found out that there were a few Furians that were able to get away. Now, we don't know how they got away and who helped them, but somebody was involved helping these people, even though some of them were taken, which we know towards the end when you find out that the, God, I don't remember, the seer or I did it again. I cannot remember what he's called. I'm going to write it down this time when you tell me again.
Purifier.
The purifier. I'm so stupid. Sorry, but I'm taking a lot of sinus medicine. So the fact that some of them had escaped and were able to, go disperse till they were an adult, to where they could come back and fulfill a destiny. So one of them was supposed to come back and help free the humanity, basically stop them from ending human life, basically. So that's what the whole thing with the what was it, elemental is what they called her.
Elemental lady played by Judi Dench.
And I thought that was freaking cool special effects to be like the wind.
So good in this movie.
They did a very good job on that. And this guy right here, I swear I've seen this guy in multiple movies as a fighter. Yep. His face looks so familiar to me. And it might have been all Vin Diesel movies. I don't know.
It probably is.
And I got laughed at a little bit because I remember that scene right there. And I said, this guy has been walking around the whole beginning of the movie with a knife sticking out of his back, right?
Yeah.
And if somebody got stabbed in the back where it looked like he was stabbed in their spinal cord, they wouldn't even be able to move or do anything or something. They'd bleed out. But he was able to pull the knife out of his back and stab him a couple times and kill him. So I thought that was kind of bizarre, and I didn't understand it. So maybe you can explain to me why he was able to kill this guy and someone else who stabbed him in the back wasn't able to.
I just want to think that he was animated, and the animation gives him a bunch of false hit points, and they stabbed him once, and he killed the guy that stabbed him in the back, but he never could reach the knife, so he just carried it around. He's like, oh, fuck, it's only a D4 damage I lost. Fuck it.
Yeah, maybe.
And this guy here, Column 4, he does such a good job of playing a bad guy in this movie.
Oh, yeah. He was awesome. I thought he did a very believable character that actually believed that he was a god, basically.
Yeah.
The way who he reminded me of a little bit. I remember watching this movie when I was a little kid, and it was on TV. So, I didn't see it at the movie theater or anything, but he was the King and I guy. What was his name?
Yul Brynner.
Yul Brynner. The arrogance that he had in that movie as the king from The King and I, the way he carried himself with a regalness, okay, but he believed in his arrogance. You know what I mean? He was so arrogant that he actually believed everything he was saying was always right. So that the portrayal that I remembered from that as a kid watching it, I felt that presence from this actor by him playing the leader of the necromongers. I don't know why, but that just popped in my head, and I couldn't get away from that, because that's just, I mean, it wasn't that I hated this guy. It was the fact that I believed that he believed everything that he was doing. And when the one girl, the beautiful woman, Thawny, she played Dame, the actress that played Dame, the beautiful wife of that one necromonger.
Right.
When she said that he was afraid that because he had fear of dying, that they knew he couldn't be the leader, the true leader of the necromongers. And she was definitely acting like she believed in it. She believed in their religion. And everything she did to try to get her husband to be the leader, she believed that he should be the leader. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So she seemed like a huge cult following person that believed in the religion itself, and leading them to get to where the underverse, okay, to get them there. So she was a huge part in it because she believed in it. And there was a few people that did believe in it. The other gentleman, her husband, I feel like he felt I don't see him advancing that far, doing much with his life or his goals without her in his life, because she was the driving force that pushed him in the direction to become great. You know what I mean? A great warrior, a great a king, maybe one day, or great general, or whatever it is, different things that he was able to get, was once he had her in his life, she was able to push the right buttons to push him in the right way to become a stronger leader or whatever type of thing. So to me, that's one reason why I thought they were such a good couple, and they played well off each other's characters.
Yep.
Because I don't think that he would have been successful without her, but I think she could have been successful with any of them. And that's what's good about her character, because she felt she used that to motivate him to know that if he didn't step up and do it, that she was just going to move on to the next high guy. And she was beautiful, so she could do it. You know what I mean? And he knew it.
I like Dame Vaco. She was the one that, because of her, Vin Diesel says, it's been a long time since I've smelled beautiful. That's one of my favorite.
Oh, yeah. I thought that was I was like, damn, that was hot when he said that to her. So, oh well. But oh well, I can't help it.
You don't want to have a Kmart body and go to somebody at Dollar General and say that. It's not going to have the same effect. But
well, he said it in the right. He had good timing, so you got to make sure that when you're going to use a really good pickup line, you got to do the best you can to make sure it's at the right time and the right moment, and that you're saying it to the woman you really want to say it to. Because if you say it to the wrong woman, you're going to end up chewing your arm off later on that night trying to get out of the room. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know plenty of women that are coyote ugly, and they've got like a pile of 30 or 40 arms that have been, smelling in the morning when they wake up. There's this gnawed off shoulder of a human male that they seduced at the bar or the bowling alley last night. They took him home and they rode him for all he was worth. And then he was sober in the morning when he woke up before her. He's like, oh shit. Maybe they can patch me up.
What did I do? Hey, but at least she was a woman. So, I know a few guys that want to chew their arm off because they found out that it wasn't what they thought they were getting. So they wouldn't tell anyone later, but it can happen. And it's getting to where I think it's going to happen more and more because of the where we live today. So that's kind of scary if you think about it.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, that whole scene when she realizes that he has fear and he's afraid of Riddick, she's intrigued by Riddick at this point. So, even at the end of the movie, when that one final scene happens, you could see her plotting, thinking about, well, maybe I'm going to get my claws into this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. that's kind of irritating to see that, but you can
But
read that
that's
on
who
his
she
face.
is. That's one of the reasons why I liked her characters, because she was steadfast to who she was and what her core belief system was of being a necromonger and getting to the underverse and being the queen of the underverse. That's what she wanted. That was her goal. It's just like she's like a gold digger, you know. She's a mega gold digger. She is not going to stop till she's at the top. She doesn't care who she takes down. So, and there are women like that. I've met plenty of them. So you just have to watch out, because that's just the way it is in reality. But in this movie, that's what her purpose was, is to motivate. And she's good at it. This character was. But her
Good.
getting Riddick to go into that room with those weird people inside those
The lady guy.
tombs, that was really creepy. That whole scene.
Yeah, that whole scene is done so well, and I just read before today's episode that was Circus Soleil, and then one of our chat members here mentioned the Circus Soleil members doing the work for the necromongers and doing the stunt work. It's like, wow. I'm so
Yeah,
happy on
you can
I
tell
recognize it.
the way that they almost glide around and they float, like effortlessly, because they're just. I didn't realize that that's where they got these people, but they were good at it. They were very, and when they first walk in, and it's a ship, because you see the ship land, and then you see it's spread out a little bit, and you see the steps going down and all the different stuff. And then when you walk in, it's a huge cathedral looking building, when they walk in, and then you see the giant throne and everything. So it's very over the top, like goddish, like remember the movie that we watched with Zeus, and it was very elaborate, everything around him was very elaborate. He had a ginormous throne, and it was just beautiful, everything around him was beautiful. And that is basically what the Lord Marshal, is that what his name is, the leader of the necromongers, he had around him. It was he felt he deserved the best, and that's what he was going to have, since he'd earned his status type thing. And the higher up you got in the necromonger religion, the more status you had, the more you were treated like you were king, or the top, a lord, or ladies, and whatever else. So I don't know for sure. The one thing I had a hard time was trying to understand when his friend was kidnapped and taken there to become a necromonger, and the other people too, when they were stuck on those machines that stabbed them in the neck and did, I guess, brainwashing or making vampires out of them, or whatever it was, because they didn't have, how the Lord Marshal kind of was able to reach down and take that one guy's soul out of his body, right?
Straight out of his mouth, straight out of his body.
Straight out of his body from his head. Well, when he did that, he really did kill him, right? But basically, what they explained when they were talking about doing this thing where they stick them with those things in their neck to was basically that they were going to die, basically, and they would live a new dead life or something, the way he was trying to explain it. So I don't know. I had a hard time trying to understand. And even though I've seen it a couple times, I still can't really understand where or what the necromongers really were. I just know I didn't want to see everybody die. So, you fight to, you want them not to win, because you don't want to see everybody devastated. And the fact that they blew up the planet so they couldn't go back to it, if they couldn't find their way to the underverse, they had nowhere else to go back to, because they destroyed everything that they touched, before they left. So I just thought that was intriguing and interesting because I'd never seen that before in a story where it was everything was completely destroyed. It didn't leave anything in its wake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, there was one other story that I remember something similar to that, and that was the Silver Surfer's, his god that he served when he would go to the planet to see whether or not they would want to go there and conquer it.
That Ball.
I can't. Yeah, I can't remember who he was doing it for, but that's the only other one that I can remember that completely destroyed everything, in its wake when it came there. So, because I saw similarities in lots of different things, but it didn't take away from the story to me enough to where the story wasn't good, because I felt like it was just all made off of something different or whatever and thrown together like I've seen in a few other movies. This one still had a really good story and good character arcs to keep me wanting to watch it and find out what was going to happen. But the other part that I thought was really, really interesting was the part where they're in two different places, or maybe even two different ships. And I can't remember, but they're using the people in the coffins and the little cups of coffee, it looked like, because it looked like water, but it was dark. And they were talking to each other. It was like telephone.
Yes.
They were on the phone, but through these weird...
Conducting it through these guys using telepathy. That was crazy.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool, though. It was a very intriguing way of doing it. And how they were able to do that, but not have the Lord that basically is connected to everyone, almost like I thought, like some type of beehive, but I guess they weren't. They weren't really like the collective or anything like that. So they really did have their own separate way to have their own thoughts and stuff. So it wasn't really the leader of the necromancers or necromongers to control everyone. They still had their own thought process and were able to betray or love or, had their own feelings that were aside from the other necromongers. So, because you remember the part where the purifier is there with Riddick, and he's able to pull him out of, because he's unconscious and the sun's about to burn him up, the 3 suns or whatever it was that the planet had. And he's able to pull him into the cave to keep him from dying. And so he had his own will, you know what I mean? He was able to break away from the pain or whatever it was that caused him to make all the decisions to cause other people to sacrifice themselves for the necromonger way, but he was able to break away from it and stop Riddick from dying. And then he made that one comment to the other necromonger about how, as they got farther and farther away from the other people, that they were able to, he had a sense of release, like he could, the weight was being lifted or whatever. So maybe that's the reason why he was able to unburden himself from the necromonger way, to be able to help make sure Riddick could fulfill his destiny or something like that. Maybe that's what it meant. I was still left trying to figure that out. Do you think that's why he was able to do that, or
probably
it's my imagination?
I just equated it to the purifier was finally with somebody from his own planet, and he was finally able to see what they were supposed to be doing. And he just, along with the revelation that he made to Riddick, the Furion in me hopes you do find the Lord Imperator again. Along with that, he has this commitment to where he's like, going back to a normal life isn't going to be worth it, because nothing will be normal after this.
Yeah.
And after all the things he'd done, he walks into the blazing hot sun and literally gets disintegrated. Hey, Wolf, good night, my friend. It was great having you in the chat. You brought up some great quotes, and hope to see you again next Monday night, sir. Thank you. Yeah, the purifier seemed like he had a lot of remorse, a lot of regret over the things he'd done and taken part in, and he maybe his act with Riddick would atone or help him atone for what he had done. So whenever he was staying at Underverse, they would deny him entry to what was supposedly promised that he didn't even believe in, even though he was a purifier for them for decades.
Yeah, but also he knew that when Riddick left to go back there, that he couldn't go back with him. Okay, because he
No.
was going to be he was going to be killed anyways. So
Yeah.
basically, to go out his own way, basically, like I did it my way or whatever you want to say. So he was able to just shed the necromonger outfit he was wearing and die a Furian. You know what I mean? That's what
Yeah.
somebody made a comment to me the first time we watched it about, wow, he had to take off all his jewelry to commit suicide. They were being smart asses about it. And I said, well, he was shedding his fake persona to become himself. So when he died, he'd be purified or whatever. And they went, oh, like that.
I thought he was too scared to
Do
go
what?
against. I thought he was too scared to go against the rest of the necromongers. He'd been converted, and there was nobody else he ever met that was a Furian until Riddick enters his life. And once Riddick enters his life, he's given a mirror and sees that he's done nothing for his own kind.
Yes.
And Flatey kind of hits it pretty squarely. He's like, I see a purifier as a bitch. He basically said, I hope you can complete what I'm too chicken shit to do, because I'm taking the easy way out.
Well, I didn't see it that way. See,
Okay.
I saw it because he'd said he'd been having the dreams too. So the woman or whoever was coming to him and telling him who he was. Because you got to remember, their planet was taken away from them while they were babies, pretty much, right? Yeah. They were small children. They didn't know who they were. They didn't know what their purpose was, but he had the dreams and he knew that something was not right. He just had a feeling about it. So when he saw Riddick, he knew who he was then. So after that is when he realized he had to make a decision. Do I want to die a Furian or do I want to die a necromonger? See, that's how I looked at it. So by him sitting there explaining to Riddick's character about who he is and why he's made the decisions that he made and things like that, basically he's like giving confession to another person of his kind. He's taking off all the markings that he had on his body and the things that he rewards or whatever you want to call it for all the deeds he had done for this king of these people that are murdering millions every time you turn around, and shedding it. He was shedding all of that. He was like purifying himself, and then he saved the person he believed was going to free them. See what I mean? Mm-hmm. Get revenge for what happened to him, because now all the dreams that he'd had, he understood what they meant. Now that's how I took it. And so when he walked out there, he committed suicide knowing that he was now free. You know what I mean? To be
maybe so.
That's how I saw it. Now that may not be right, but that was my vision of his character arc. I thought was great because he was able to see his own error of his ways, and very few of us get to do that in our life. You know what I mean? Get a chance to say, man, I messed up big time and I can't fix it. There's no way to fix what I've done. I've killed millions of people. but I'm gonna lay it out to my God or whatever, and this is how I'm gonna go out, and hopefully my God will forgive me for it. And that's what he did. That's how I saw what happened. If he was younger or the situation was a little different, maybe he wouldn't have had to commit suicide. But in this circumstances they were in, pretty much that was the only choice he was going to have. And we skipped right over the part where they're in the prison.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite part of this movie.
Yeah, because the whole scene when he's dropped down in the middle, that was super cool.
I don't even I think he did one practice doing that routine, twisting himself up the rope, and he basically what happens is, for those of you that's not seen it, after he goes to Helion Prime, he reunites with Imam, a holy man he met during the movie events of Pitch Black. Well, Imam mentions Jack had gone off to search for Riddick because she felt Riddick could teach her more than what the Imam could. So, along with that, the Imam tells Riddick, "There's something going on right now across the nations, across the skies, and I want to know about your origins." And they discuss what the Furian race is, and really, Riddick has no idea about it. At the start of the movie, he's totally clueless. All he knows is that there's an animal side to his life, that he's really good at getting in and out of places, and he can sneak around like the best of them, and he does what he does very well. Well, an air elemental by the name of Arion, played by Dame Judi Dench, identifies the incoming comet as a fleet of necromongers, and they get to the planet, and they wipe out the planetary defenses within one evening. Now, granted, the director's cut has about 3 minutes of the ships trying to defend the planet side forces and civilian with their best ability, which really doesn't stack up very well. It's a very Joe Biden-esque version of a defense force against the Chinese, but the Chinese are a bunch of deaf people. The necromongers attack within a single night. This happens, and then the Imam goes out to avenge some of his neighbors and countrymen, and he's killed, like just cut down like a dog. No more David Keith.
Yep.
And Riddick escapes. The next day, they've rounded up pretty much everybody that's still willing to be alive, and the necromongers are showing off, what they can do and discussing things. And that's where we had the scene where Riddick kills that guy that has a knife in his back. It's only a D4 damage. And then he gets the knife offered to him by the Lord Marshal, and I don't think he takes it. Well,
and that's when, I think he took the knife.
He does take it, but he complains about how it's weighted to the blade.
Yeah, but because he said you get to keep what you kill.
Yes.
So that was the first time you hear that one line said in the movies, when he tells him that since he killed that guy, you get to keep his stuff, his anything that he owned is now yours.
Yeah.
Because you took him out.
I mean, and it was a pretty impressive fight for 2004. We were not expecting like Jackie Chan level quality, but we were at least entertained.
Yeah,
and the big guy, the big
thing is, they didn't really have to fight like that, because like the scene in the alley where you had the imam and his wife and daughter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they come in and they stick one of those torches or whatever you want to call it down in the ground that they're going to use to destroy the planet, right? And they're doing a little bit of hand-to-hand combat, but really not any type of fighting. They have those weapons that they use, the weird gun, sonic weapons or whatever those are.
Yeah.
And so they really didn't have to do much hand-to-hand combat, because There was no reason for it. They had weapons that made it unnecessary to do it, to risk themselves getting injured or whatever, when they could just shoot them with one shot, the weak humans, and take them out.
And what I found really weird was that the necromongers were able to persuade Riddick to go up with them and allow himself to be scanned by them. And that was when all those guys, all the necromongers, realize that he's a Furian, and so you have the Lord Marshal say, "Kill him! I order the execution of Riddick." And he gets to escape, but then they're using gravity-based tech and necromantic energy. After all this, Toombs comes back and captures him. Toombs, like what?
Yeah, but to me at that time, the reason he was able to get caught was because he let him catch him, to make him think that he was caught, because he wanted off the planet, because he knew he needed a little bit of time to figure out what he was going to do.
And first thing he wanted to do was go grab Jack.
Yeah, that too, but he needed some time to figure out what his decision was going to be, because he knew who he was. He knew that he had a purpose, and maybe that's why he's been able to get away with so many things, is because it was all leading toward him taking out the leaders, the necromongers. So I don't know. That's what I took away from the story. But the prison was super cool. The way they had to go up and get, recirculate the air and everything. And I don't know. I thought that was a really cool thing. But man, I wish we could do that with the prison.
Yeah.
Dig a big hole and just put them down in it, little cages, and let them fend for themselves, basically.
And then you have the world's coolest execution scene with a spam can key. No,
you mean the teacup?
He kills him with a teacup.
Yeah, he said he's going to kill him with that teacup, but then he put the spam key there. That was second. That was funny as heck. That was a good scene in the movie.
I was pretty impressed. And then we meet the dogs, or the wild animals, which everybody else is scared shitless of it, but Riddick, because of his animal side, he's able to befriend them.
Yeah, I thought they were cats. They look like big, like, not mountain lions, but like a cheetah cross.
Cheetah wolf or something.
Yeah, cheetah wolf or something. Because they had a cheetah-looking face, and but they looked like they were made out of metal, or horny toads. They looked like they had like the thick skin, like a horny toad to me. But their faces look like cats to me. But I don't know. They were really bizarre. I thought those were cool.
That entire scene with the big animals, that came about because right before this movie hit, I believe Vin Diesel had just lost his dog, and it was like a fairly big size, like a Kanye Corso or a Rottweiler, something big, something just huge dog that is just, most people don't want to pay the feed bill for it. And it's kind of cool. They have this little scene where they clear out the general populous areas. Here's the governor, one of my favorite characters in the whole movie.
Yeah.
And then they let the dogs out.
Who let the dogs out?
Yeah.
But they do look like cats. I mean, look at that face.
Yeah, they do look like cats, very much so.
They almost look like Egyptian cats, the hairless ones, right through the eyes, if you see the front of their face, and see how they've got the skin almost like horny toads. They got that
pimply.
Yeah, it's very thorny. That it's very thorny and spiny, so you can't really, when it's flared out, it's not smooth.
The brave guards. Shit.
Yeah, see, they definitely look like cats in the face to me.
Yeah, they do.
But they're cool. They're super cool looking. And they have the same kind of eyes, night vision eyes, see, that Riddick has.
But there's a scene where he's making, nice with it at the end of this here. Now,
Yeah, when
granted,
he's petting it and stuff.
the scene does a fairly good job of showing you the terror with the prisoners. And she's actually, I kind of liked her in this role. I thought I wouldn't, but I really did like Alexa Davalos taking over the role of Jack. The previous girl wasn't bad, but this is a more womanly figure. And
Well,
the
it's
previous
been
one,
5 years.
yeah,
So the young girl that had just had her first period was now a woman, 5 years later. And I thought they did a good job at, making her be something like that. See, that's
I-
very scary.
and they did a good job with finding an actress that could be physical. Like
Uh-huh.
she actually looks like she could do uh, a shot with stunts.
Yeah, the one scene where her and Riddick are fighting some of the necromongers, and she's got those boots with the blades on the back, that
Yep.
shoot out, and she's able
Yeah.
to spin around and use her blades to be cutting everybody's heads and throats and stuff. That was a believable fight scene. And so she did do a very good job at her action for her character, because she was she was in a lot of scenes where she was hands on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Where
she got her hands dirty with this film because she actually did everything she could to try to get on balance beams, try to do climbing walls, tried climbing ropes, tried to get into shape, tried to look the part. And whenever she was given a moment to actually display that, she didn't really shirk away from it. You could tell that she was ready for it. Some actors and actresses, whenever they have to be physical, like the 14th season of insert police drama here, they're having a hard time surmount a sawhorse or something, or get around like a barricade.
yeah.
But this girl, she's young enough, and she's like in her late 20s at the time. She's able to do everything she was supposed to with a bit of energy, and that was all I ask.
Yeah. And she was very agile, and she seemed, and a lot of the scenes in this part of it, in the caves and stuff, she's having to duck her head down a lot, like crawl in a bent position. So she looked like she was very good at or used to living there, the way that she was able to react, her response time and things like that. So it seemed believable to me that she was locked down there for a while and able to defend herself, basically, which would be hard if you think about it. They got women and men housed together, and this came out in 2004. Is that what you said?
Yep.
And they say we don't have any movies that were diverse with lots of women and men mixed together being treated equal. Well, that was a
No.
huge scene right
She got
there,
all
showing
of
men
her
and women in a prison together.
all of Alexa Davalos's agility training was done supervised by Jennifer Garner. Jennifer Garner Jennifer God damn it, I forgot that talentless twat's name. The Mockingbird series, or Mockingjay.
Yeah, I can't remember what her name is. Jennifer.
She's so forgettable, and I don't care.
Yeah, I can't remember her last
Sorry.
name. But yeah, it's just that you get sick of hearing it, because I'm like, I've seen lots of movies with women, and interacting with men and in the same level of as the men type thing. But apparently other people just pretend that it didn't exist or it didn't ever happen. The scene going in when he's laying down, on that cart, like that mine, it was like the mini mine train in Disney World.
Yes.
That went underground. I thought that was a fun scene because that guy's like leaning over him saying, I'm going to take those glasses off of you as soon as we get down there and all this different stuff, being all macho because now the guy's chained up. He can't defend himself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you see him tapping his foot on the bar. 1, 2. He's counting along and then he
And then
just
he
lifts
shoved
himself up.
the light
Because
fixture.
because he knows that because he's been through this over and over and over again. That's what I meant about him being really smart and able to remember lots of things. So, see, there's a huge view of that cat, and you can definitely tell it's a cat's face,
Yeah.
cat's head, a cat's ears. It's deformed looking. It's not, a normal cat, but it definitely resembles a cat more than it does anything else. And the shape of its nose and face remind me so much of those naked cats.
The Egyptian cats that
Yeah,
just
the
scare the
Egyptian
shit out of you.
cats or whatever. That's what it looks like, which is really cool. So whoever came up with the creature to be in this did a good job.
Now,
I'm watching that scene. I just think it's so cool. It's really good. I liked it.
Fandango, if you copyright this, I'm going to come visit. We're going to talk.
They won't, because there's
like
no sound. You're not doing any sound or anything.
And we're doing fair use.
Very, very good.
I love how they do the prop for getting those bars to bulge out. But
yeah, like he really did run into it. Uh-huh.
That entire scene, like this movie does it right, and I'll say the movie does it right for the fact that they have good set work. Their set design in this movie is actually worth it. Like, not everything there is going to be a physical piece. You're going to have some minor things that they add with CGI, but the majority of that set was constructed, and then they added, the green mats to get the mat design and the CGI work in proper to make it look deeper than what it is. But holy cow, the prison was done so well.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really cool. And when they first brought the girl in that cage, you know what I mean? And put it in a room with all those other cages. I was like, oh, how horrible would that be to go in a holding cell? Because that's basically what it looked like. It was like holding, where they drop the cages off, then they're locked, but they're dropped off and you don't know who's next to you and whether they can reach through the bars and scratch you all up, or, what their capabilities are. And it to me, the whole thing was creepy. And the way that they dropped the prisoners down into the middle of the prison with a rope, draping them in, I thought that was really very, very intriguing because, I say that a lot. I say that if you can't get rid of them and we have to feed them and all that stuff, put them in a giant hole in the ground. And if people come by and throw food down there, then they'll scrounge around and they'll live. But if nobody brings any food, then why are we wasting our money to house them, So I don't know. I like some of the stuff, which I know I shouldn't like any of it because it's definitely not something we want to live under.
No,
I wouldn't. But it was a good scene. I really enjoyed that.
For those of you that are interested, I'm going to put a link in the chat. I talked about it in the chat earlier, but this link I just dropped in is a link to Vin Diesel, which is an older. It's a Geek and Sundry podcast from 2014, I think, or 15, or somewhere around there. Oh shit, 16. My bad. This is back when the movie The Last Witch Hunter came out, which really was not that good. Don't see it. And then just save your money. Don't see it. Watch this half hour of Matt and the gang from Geek and Sundry play with Vin Diesel in their 5th edition game of D&D, and you'll have more joy watching this half hour than you will watching The Last Witch Hunter. I can guarantee you that. I'm not saying that The Last Witch Hunter is the worst movie of all time, but I am saying that it's close to somebody that watches The Last Witch Hunter when they're 19 years old in 2016 could very much feel like me and Janet in 2022 when we watched The Cowboy Way.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say you're going to have a like situation with that. For me, this movie, the third act is like the fight at the end of the crematoria portion when they
Yeah.
escape from the prison. Like the girl named Eve that was part of Toombs's crew. She had very little to say and do in the theatrical cut. In the
Yeah.
director's cut, she almost rapes, she almost takes advantage of Vin Diesel, and he kind of stops her. And I think that there could have been something that could have gone on. The rest of the crew's knocked out. They're sleeping. They're on their way to this miserable planet, and she almost has it. But she gets stopped by Riddick, and then she goes back to her seat. So
Yeah.
if you want to know, the director's cut 16 minutes longer than the theatrical cut. And is it good? Yeah. It makes it a very watchable movie. Get some popcorn, expect to have your standard Vin Dieselisms where Vin Diesel does Vin Diesel stuff. Just like if you
Yeah.
watch a movie with The Rock, it's going to have The Rock in it. They say he's a different name character, but it's The Rock. Just trust me.
Well, I think he's starting to look different. I mean, he doesn't. To me, he doesn't look the same as he did, years ago, which is sad. It happens to everyone, but
yeah, I really like Vin Diesel as a person because there's a lot of things he does that are pretty much correct. They're right. Like he does a lot for his kids. He does a lot for his family. He does not go out and speak about politics. For me, that's like gold. I might not like your movies, Vin, but I will go and promote your stuff. I will go to tell people, hey, this book, Vin did part of this. In this movie, Vin took this character. In this, like a lot of people have not found the movie Find Me Guilty, which is a great Vin Diesel film where he portrays a gangster. And he grew his hair out in this movie. He looks ridiculous, but he plays such a wise ass character on the set, on the stand, and he outwits the DA just so well, but it's patterned after your what the actual events that happened in real life. They pretty much took the script from what was said in court. So if you're looking for a movie that you want to enjoy Vin Diesel, you've not seen him do Vin Diesel things, you want to see him do something different, branch out. One movie is Find Me Guilty. Another movie that Vin Diesel has that not many people have seen is called Strays, which is from 1997, I believe. And that was the movie that put him on the radar for Steven Spielberg to use in Saving Private Ryan. Strays is a movie about a bunch of pickup artists that use an apartment as their hangout joint, and they, drag their girls there and, do what you do when you're a pickup artist. And he meets this lady that she's everything you could ever want. But throughout the course of his life, doing stupid amounts of marijuana and other things, he's kind of ruined himself, and he can't really elevate himself to where he needs to be the guy that a woman like her deserves. She would have to lower her standards to appreciate him, and he sees the error of his ways and how he's messed his life up. It's a really good movie if you've not seen it before.
Yeah, I think it's a diamond in the rough, basically. Isn't this movie the movie that basically made people start taking Vin Diesel as serious for being able to hold his own in a movie?
That would probably be either Pitch Black or Saving Private Ryan. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Sorry, I was trying to read some of these posts that people are posting to see if I wanted to comment to them, and I can't read and talk at the same time. Sorry.
Is there such a thing as bad Welsh
Plus, I'm
rabbit?
stuffed up.
Wow.
But so I'm trying to read them on the on and it's smaller than what I'm used to too. So I'm sorry.
I am going to share something that many of you probably didn't want to see tonight, but
Oh no,
oh
I've never
yeah,
seen this
oh yeah,
before.
look at those pants. Look at
I
that
know.
hair. This
I
is my
knew lots of people that had pants like that. Is it a dancer?
yeah.
Look how young he is.
Oh
And
my
look at
God,
those
he's like
tennis
14 in
shoes.
the show.
Look at those tennis shoes.
I actually have a pair of those in the other room just now, but I didn't. Yeah, we don't want to go there.
Wow, that's really hard to do.
Yep.
What show is that he's on?
He was. There was a VHS copy that taught you how to break dance back in the
I don't remember
84,
ever seeing it.
83.
But I remember those jogging suits. Everyone was wearing them.
Yeah,
Oh, I remember my dad wearing stuff like that.
I think my dad might still wear that, but that's because we're Italian.
It has to do with being an Italian.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to hell.
That's funny. Oh my God. Look at this. Walk like an Egyptian. Oh my gosh. I can't believe it. Oh, how old is he? Like 14 or 15?
Barely. Uh-oh, here
Yes.
goes the worm.
I mean, oh my gosh. It is amazing. I mean, they're good.
Yeah.
But I just never thought I'd see anything like this. Wow, he's really good. That takes a lot of practice to get that good.
I love the internet. The internet never forgets.
That is amazing. He's
I
very
could not do that
talented.
anymore.
He worked
Shadow
really
Sun.
hard to get on that show.
Yeah, he did.
That's
I'd
a
love
lot
to
of
hear that
practice, a
again.
lot of muscles you have to be able to do some of the moves that they were doing. That's impressive.
Multi-Gun Man, that's probably my favorite role that Vin Diesel's done was in Saving Private Ryan. That's such a that's going to be our Veterans Day movie if I'm picking it, but that's our Memorial Day movie. But that's such a damn good film because you have so many good scenes in that movie. Vin Diesel really sold his character in that film, and it just if only every fucking war movie could be like Saving Private Ryan or even Fury. I'll take Fury.
Yeah, I thought The Great Raid was a good war movie.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. It had a different focus because your POWs.
Yeah,
You're looking
that
at
was the only time they've ever done anything like that where they broke into a prison and rescued our POWs
yeah.
based on a true story too. So I thought it was really good. But to get to see the progression of a young person breaking into the business and then see their life change and their development change as they progress into different movies and different roles. That's really cool. How often, like people say they go from Disney, being what is it, one of those Disney dancing kids or whatever, and then all of a sudden they're singers or they're become a big famous star or whatever. I don't know, but getting to see that video just, I don't know, it just changed my view on him because I'd never seen that. But he really worked hard to become what he is today.
Yeah. He's been
From when he
trying
was
to
a
get
kid
business
and
since he
not through Disney, because you don't do break dancing and all that stuff uh, to break in at Disney. At least I don't think so. I've never seen any Disney character, like Britney Spears and some of these other ones that became, you know, singers or famous actors or anything. They got into it from breakdancing. So that's pretty impressive. I'm really impressed. Thank you for showing me that video.
Oh, no problem.
That was definitely interesting. But yeah, I think that he's had a very good arc for his own life, basically, as a kid. I don't know if he had any hardships or whatever to get where he is, but the fact that you can tell that he worked at it to become an actor and to excel. And now he produces and stuff too. So, because he was a producer in this movie that we're talking about right now. So he'd already worked his way up in the ranks enough to become a producer for his. Was this his second movie, or had he been in a lot of other things before that?
I want to say Strays was his first release.
Yeah.
I might be wrong on that, but Saving Private Ryan was like the third movie he did.
Uh-huh.
The second or third. And then Pitch Black came out after that because of the success of SPR. And when Riddick was just, you know, where Pitch Black was getting planned, they didn't really have an idea it would take off as much as it did. But boy, it took off. And then from 99 to 2006, there's a bunch of movies where people are trapped in the dark, mostly in caves, fighting weird creatures that are poorly made up humans.
The one about the spelunkers or whatever, they get trapped.
They have the Descent, and then you have the Cave, which is like a B level version of Descent, which is a B movie of a B movie. And the Cave is like the worst version. Don't watch the Cave. You're better off watching The Keep from like 1983, I think, or 88. Really good movie. Had a lot of promise. Should have had more money. Should have made more money, but they needed a bigger budget. But The Keep was really cool.
So basically, he was in Saving Private Ryan, and somebody saw him in that, and then they picked him out to be in the movie Pitch Black. So that's basically, and the other actor that was in Pitch Black that's now in Yellowstone, it took him a lot longer to become a somebody that everyone's talking about all the time. Like Vin Diesel seems to,
Cole Hauser's like the number 3 guy on IMDb last month.
Yeah,
which I know that's nothing big,
but that's because of Yellowstone. Honestly, because when I saw the first episode of Yellowstone, I was telling everybody I recognize him. What was he in? But see, he wasn't fresh in my mind to know who he was already. And so then I started looking into it, and I was like, oh my gosh, he was in this movie. You know, that's when I decided I wanted to do this, the Pitch Black. Not just because Vin Diesel was in it and it was a good movie, was the fact that he was in it, because he is now famous for being in Yellowstone. But it took him a lot longer to become someone that we're talking about every week, you know, because of his character on a TV show, which isn't even a movie. So he went from making movies to making a TV show and became famous, you see. So it's, I don't know, I just think it's interesting, depending on the characters you get. One day you're in 5, 6, 7 different things, TV shows, commercials, or whatever. Then all of a sudden you get a role that becomes who you are, and people can recognize you because of this one role. You know, like every person I know of that played Superman became a household name, you know, or like Spider-Man, things like that. Some of them, but not all of them, you know. So it just depends on how well you portrayed that character to become the name that, like James Earl Jones. Everyone knows who James Earl Jones is. Now, I remembered him as basically as the bad guy in the Conan movie. Okay, the Snake King. Yeah. False of Doom, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then I remember him as the voice of Darth Vader. So it just depends. But what I'm saying is once you get a certain type of role, then people remember you because of it. And that's how you get typecast too. But that doesn't happen to everyone, but it happens to a lot of people. And wasn't he in The Field of Dreams too?
Yes. He
Yeah,
was
that was
in
a good
the
movie.
third act of Field of Dreams, which is an amazing film.
Yeah, it was very, very good. So there's plenty of great movies out there, and it's just funny that you'll see something or hear something, a song or whatever on the radio, or uh, you'll see a commercial that reminds you of something. You go, oh, that reminds me of that movie. And then you go, I'm going to watch that movie again. And then you're like, wow, I can't believe I hadn't seen this movie in so long and how good it was. And you remember little details about it and you're thinking about it. And it's, I don't know. It's just nice that we can fall back on it and go back and watch these movies again, because it's going to get harder and harder to be able to do that, because now that they're going to start going to streaming, I think it's going to be harder and harder for you to even get the movies, to have your own library at home to be able to watch them, because now you have to like pull it up on your phone or on your computer, because there's not even a disc. It's all digital. So that's kind of sad. That kind of makes me sad, the thought that you don't have bookshelves with books on it, and you're not going to have books, shelves with movies, DVDs, or things like that on it anymore, to just grab it yourself and it's something tangible that you can hold, like collector cards and things, because everything's going digital that you can't keep. It looks like we got some the dirty bots in here.
The sponsors are back?
Yep, but they're not on my it doesn't look like they're on my phone, but I see them on the app or whatever.
That's because somebody squashed them already.
Oh, okay, that's good. Was that you that squashed them?
No, that was who was that? Timed out by Six Nation 31 Kings. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you. I just saw the beautiful green check marks on top of the red bubble. That's what I was like. We have some bad boys in here, or bad girls. I'm not sure. But yeah, this movie is really good for anyone and it doesn't really have a lot of cussing. It doesn't have boobies. It doesn't have
It's
any
got a
porn.
lot of violence.
Yeah, it's got some violence, but I've seen worse. That movie Meat Train had blood and gore all over the place. This one has a little bit of gore, basically. And even when the creatures are released, you don't really see them tearing people up. You just see them jump on them. You know what I mean? So it doesn't even really have a lot of
I need to grab the front door.
Oh, someone's at your door?
Yeah, I'm going to remove myself for a moment. I'll be back.
Okay. But yeah, I think this movie has a lot of potential for to make a new movie. I think they did make another one after this. I think it was just called Riddick, but I'm not 100%. But I think I did see it, but I can't remember the name of it. So, but there is another movie after this one. I thought this series of movies was very good, and I'm not 100. Let me look real quick and see who the writer was for this story. There were brothers, I think. Yeah, somebody named Jim Wheat, Ken Wheat, and David, the person who ended up being the director. They were all involved in writing this for this script. But the fact that they did so well at connecting Vin Diesel's character and not having taken away too much of who he was by the way he spoke to people, his action throughout the movie, and giving him a more of a character arc this time to find out where he came from and why he was so good at being stealthy and like having a sense of what was around him and understanding that there's danger, right out there. So us being able to see that in the second movie, I thought was a really good arc from the first one. So they did connect, but you didn't have to see the first movie to like this movie and like this character, which was so it could have been a standalone movie on its own. I just don't understand why this movie, besides the fact that the Passion of the Christ came out to take a big chunk out of the box office, that to me would be the only reason why this movie didn't make more money, because I really thought the movie was good. I thought the script was good. They had very good actors to portray the different characters, and they each did a great job for their character arc and their story. And the scenery I thought was really, really good. And I really liked the costumes. I thought the costumes and the set design and the props and everything were phenomenal for each of the different scenes. The prison, everyone looked dirty and grungy. They looked hungry. Um, in the way that they set up the prison guard area that opened up every, like, I guess once every 24 hours to recirculate the oxygen. I thought that was a believable setup for the prison. I just I just can't find anything really bad about this movie to why it wouldn't have made any money or more money, like 3 times the amount of money. The only thing I can think of is the fact that that movie was so big that it took away from this movie being able to make more money when the Passion of the Christ came out at the same time. So, and I don't think when they decide, because isn't it the companies that normally pick when the movie's going to be released because they know what the other movies are?
Yeah, usually it's out of the hand of the director. It's completely in the hand of the studio.
And I remember a lot of the people talking about Passion of the Christ and that it was anti-Semitic and all this bad press that it was getting. So I think that a lot of the other corporations or production companies or whatever you want to call them thought, well, this movie is that Passion of the Christ is gonna bomb. So they probably didn't think that it would even have any effect on their movie being released at the same time. Can you remember any other movies besides Chronicles of Riddick that came out that didn't do as well as they thought it would because of the Passion? I mean, I'm wondering because
Uh,
I didn't even know the Passion was out at the same
the,
time as this
here,
until you told me.
the thing that pissed off everybody was the Passion of the Christ came out basically the weekend before Easter weekend.
Mhm.
No, the month and a half or 2 months before Easter weekend.
Yeah.
And it was 3 weeks at number one, I believe. And it started to slip in the numbers, but they wouldn't let go of number one. It was still number one. And
Yeah.
it took James Gunn's movie, The Dawn of the Dead, they took the top spot. And then like MSN and Good Morning America and all these crappy news networks were talking about how, oh my God, this movie is number one movie in the whole in the whole world. Look, the Dawn of the Dead movie's great. It's doing good. Oh my God! And they were getting like out of breath and hyperventilating, and they're just so happy that there was not this Christian movie that was number one. But the funny part is, is that when Easter weekend came around, and the churches reinvigorated the Passion of the Christ and stuffed themselves into the theaters by the
Oh,
congregation.
yeah, I
And
remember that. That's when I
like the
remembered.
gnashing of teeth was fucking delicious. That was the greatest thing to hear. All these stupid news tarts and news pricks out there just Passion of the Christ is the #1 movie again. And it's not fair because the churches are doing it. It's the churches are driving van loads full of Christians to see this movie. How did we know there were so many Christians in this nation?
Yeah,
And
I was really surprised how much money and how big it was, because I had never been to the movie theater and had a line of people. I mean, it was amazing to me to see that many people standing outside the theater to buy tickets to get in to see it. I've never seen anything like it. Do you remember any other movies besides, I think, this
there was
Empire
a
Strikes
theater.
Back?
There was a theater in Decatur, Illinois called the Avon, and it started this trend of bringing back older good movies and doing like a matinee during a week, and you'd have a weekend where you could go take your kids or grandkids to go see the movie, and your kids could learn to watch like John Wayne films in the theater. They did that for like a couple summers. Then they lost the license or whatever because nothing good stays in Decatur, Illinois. It always leaves. But we had that, and that was like the only thing I'd ever seen. But here we have over at Wonderland Mall in San Antonio. There's a little theater that they call it the Bijou, and it's like a 50-person max capacity theater. It's like this room I'm sitting in right now.
Yeah.
So you can go watch a movie from like 1940 or 1950 or 1960 at the Bijou, which has limited hours. But if you know when to go, you can go do it. You can go hang out and watch an older film. Now, there's not many places that I know where that is a thing. And that's something that I think really we should reward more. But I don't have the time to do that. I'm sorry.
But see, that's what I'm worried about. As more and more movies and companies fight for the streaming people, we got to have, like we were talking about yesterday on the show that I was on, Pacific 414.
Oh, I love Pacific 414.
Yeah, I was on there, and we were talking about the Penguin series. They're going to have the episodes on HBO to start up to get ready for the new Batman movie that's going to be coming out. And I'm like, you have these companies like HBO we already know they can do it. We already know they can come out with some really good series of shows to draw people in to buy a subscription. Okay, we already know they can do that. Now we know Disney has tried to do it, but their stuff just wasn't what people thought they were getting. They were hoping for more. They weren't getting the bang for their buck. You know what I mean? Now Game of Thrones like boiled everybody else. It took everyone off the streaming list besides them, basically. So that's where we're going. We're going to see more and more movie quality stuff like Yellowstone on these different platforms to get people to pay. I mean, I paid money just so I could have Paramount, just because after seeing a couple of episodes of Yellowstone, I was like, I got to watch the rest of the show. I love everything about it. So to me, it was worth paying the money just so I can watch it. And that's only one show. I don't even know what else they offer because I've been too busy to even look and see what other stuff they have. But it was worth it to me just to have one good show to watch. You know what I mean? Because I don't watch anything else. I don't hardly watch any other television. So I get most of my entertainment from YouTube. That's must be pretty pathetic. But that's a fact. I want to watch stuff to me that's entertaining, and watching some of the crap. And you buy these cable packages now. Half of the stuff you're buying is like shows that sell stuff. They just sit there and talk about this pan or those shoes or this jewelry or this and that, and they want you to buy stuff from them. To me, why are we paying a monthly subscription to watch shows about that want us to buy shit? I mean, I don't know. the whole thing is nothing but an infomercial, the whole channel. And why am I paying a monthly fee for that when they're making money off people buying stuff from them? I don't know. To me, it's just cable has gotten, and satellite or whatever, these package deals that you get is just getting worse and worse and worse. They're just taking off the good entertainment and making it to where you have to subscribe to it. So now you have 15 to 20 subscriptions a month because they're all separating and going off on their own, trying to get their niche in the streaming industry. And I just don't know if this is going to be a good thing or bad. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's
There's
taken away from the regular way of getting movies, TV shows.
There's a bit of chatter about a John Wayne movie with him being sub, where he saves a bunch of nuns, and he barely remembers it, but it's a 1951 film called Operation Pacific.
I don't think
And
I ever saw that movie.
it's not bad. Patricia Neal's in it. She's like absolutely just a stunner in this movie. But
Yeah.
it's quite a good movie. And I don't remember the nuns in it. I remember the torpedoes fouling up. They encounter a Japanese aircraft carrier, but the torpedoes they fired just explode halfway to the target. And this has been having a problem with the entire subfleet for some time, and so they have to go to Pearl Harbor to get new torpedoes. And when he gets to Pearl Harbor, he sees his ex-wife, who's engaged to a Navy pilot, and he's trying to win her back. It's not a bad movie, but it's relatively undersung movie. And just to give you an idea, for those of you who are civilian service, civilian types, those torpedoes represent about every fucking thing you get for your weaponry in the United States military, because all of your equipment was made by the bottom bidder, okay? And the Mark 18s, yeah, that's the type of torpedo they were trying to portray. Mark 18 torpedoes were one of the worst torpedoes ever. And you want to, if you got a friend who's like 70 or 80 years old, just give them a bottle of whiskey and say, tell me about your frustration with the Mark 18 torpedo, and prepare for an afternoon of hilarity, because they're going to have so many euphemisms and pejoratives come out of their mouth. They're going to say things like, and we thought old Jerry was making these torpedoes for us because those fuckers never worked right. And you'll hear this over and over and over as that whiskey bottle gets lower and lower, and finally is empty. And it'll be drunk before the afternoon's over. Yeah, Flady's right. They were Mark 18s. So,
well, there was a movie I remember. Was it Shirley MacLaine that was in it, and she was a nun, and she was riding a donkey or something in a John Wayne movie?
Shirley Temple, you mean, or Shirley MacLaine?
Yeah, it was. Her brother was like a famous sex symbol or something.
Yeah.
That married. He was in Dick Tracy. What was his name? Warren Beatty.
Yes.
Was that her brother in real life?
Yes.
Okay, I think it was Shirley MacLaine. I just remember her being a nun and riding a donkey. Wasn't that a John Wayne movie? I don't know the name of it, so that's what I was looking for, and I can't talk and read at the same time. But
okay. You're supposed to be doing miniature work, and I'm peeling glue off my hands.
Well, can you remember what I'm talking about though? That movie? Does anyone in the
I can't, because anything with Shirley MacLaine, I try not to indulge myself too hard on.
Well, I don't remember seeing it. I just remember maybe my mom was watching it on a TV or something, because she liked John Wayne a lot. But I remember her writing, because when you said the nuns in the submarine, I was the only one I could think of that I remember John Wayne being in was the one where she's riding a little jackass around, and she's wearing a habit. So, see, I just don't remember what it was called. I have no idea.
We're gonna do the first few seasons of this unless you get bored of me, Janet, we're going to do the first few seasons of this. The first couple of years of Mondays, we're doing this. We're going to hit all the mainstream good movies that were made back, starting in like the late.
We can do this until we die. We'll never run out of movies.
We'll never run out of good movies, though.
No, I don't think so.
There was so many good films that came along long before I was alive.
I just wish I could remember the name of that now. It's driving me crazy.
It's okay. We'll discover it. We got
I was wrong. It was Clint Eastwood. It wasn't John Wayne. Okay, it's my fault. I'm sorry, people. When you said something about it being nuns in the submarine, the first thing that popped in my head was her riding that little donkey. So it was Sister Sarah. Okay. Yep. I see that. I can read that on there. Thank you for finding that information.
Six Nation 31 Kings says something that I'm pretty happy to read. It says, Granddad never spoke too much about the Army Air Corps, but he was a hell of a mechanic. Did his bit in Africa working on various planes. I learned a thing or two from him. That's badass. If you've got a military mechanic in your family, just keep them liquidated or liquefied with their favorite drink whenever you need a favor from them, or do favors for them to get them to work on your gear, because military mechanics are miracle workers. Most of the civilized units and corporations don't know that, but our mechanics that have kept the armed forces going for so long, those guys can perform miracles. It's great. We're at 2 hours already. Janet, this was your film.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was great. I love this movie. I would still watch it again. We were saying last week, we were talking about how few movies there are that make you want to watch them again more than once, Yeah. So, and this to me is one of the movies. That's why most of the movies that I buy, that I have bought or purchased, that I have watched more than once. And I bought it because I did enjoy it. And I like this movie. And I recommend people should watch it if you like action, sci-fi. That's definitely what this is.
We're gonna go on a different type for the movie that I'm gonna pick for next week.
Okay.
Because the movies I really like are typically movies with amazing fight choreography, and they're just, that's the main selling point for the Raid and the Raid Part 2.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna go a little different on this, but it's a classic nonetheless.
Okay.
Come back next week with us to 1979's The Warriors.
You got me on that one.
I have been wanting to watch this movie.
Me too. I remember telling you that a while back. That was like last year when we were talking about it, because it is a classic. Because I was talking about all the cool gangs. That's one of my favorite things. The vision. I mean, this is going to be a good movie. I'm excited about watching it. Thank you, Bruce. It's going to be fun. The Warriors come out and play. It's really good. I'm excited. God, it's been a while too since I've seen it. I thought that one guy, though, the lead in this movie that you've picked, would have a bigger career than he ended up with, because isn't he the one that was in the movie Xanadu with
so.
What was her name from Greece? She just died this last year, I think. I went blank. I can't remember her name. She played Sandy in Grease.
Xanadu was Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah, Olivia Newton-John. The actor that was in The Warriors, wasn't he in Xanadu?
Michael Beck.
Uh-huh. How many other movies was he in besides those 2 movies?
He's in a really bad movie called Battle Truck, which, if you want to have a fun bad movie, Battle Truck delivers. But yeah, that's Michael Beck,
Yeah, I
and
thought he was a cutie pie.
I mean, even nowadays, he doesn't look horrible. He looks like he's retained most of his shape, if not his youthfulness. But the guy's like 65, 70 years old now. I mean, he deserves it. But yeah, he was in some bad B movies, and some of those were watchable, and some of those were not. But Battle Truck is a favorite of mine. If you're like, I want more Mad Max, just not as much budget or effort.
Yeah, shoestring budget Mad Max. But yeah, the Warriors, I don't know. To me, it was very uh I I don't know. I don't know what the word is, but it got a good following. You know what I mean?
It's a
A lot
very
of
good cult
people
movie. It got a
started
very good cult
liking it
following.
after it wasn't even in the movie theater anymore. It became like a cult movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really, really good. I just love the underworld look that you get, you know, the
Well, Walter
grittiness of
Hill
that.
directed it, and we're gonna watch three Walter Hill films minimum this year, because there's movies he's got that, like, he's an underappreciated person in Hollywood, and there's a lot of people like, fuck Hollywood. Well, you know what? I don't know if Mr. Walter Hill's ever been put in a lawsuit. The guy seems like a nice fellow. He doesn't seem like the type of person that you cannot trust your daughter with or son with in the same room. He seems like a nice guy that doesn't seem to rape kids. He seems like a nice man who likes to keep himself out of prison and out of the dead book. Flavy's like, Bruce, the Seawolf still has a Mark 48. So I delivered the first small arms load while they still were in construction. I was not aware. I thought that, I want to say in Red Storm Rising, you could get the Mark 84s for the Seawolf, but I might be wrong on that. I never play outside the Los Angeles class subs. Those are by and far my favorite subs on that, because they're such a good standard. You get in the Seawolf class, and then you start getting spoiled, and the game's on easy mode, and fuck all that.
Yeah.
Um,
But
sorry, I was just
the,
nerding out on the game there real quick.
but the thing is that uh, movies don't always mirror Hollywood. You know what I mean? It's only some movies that mirror Hollywood. Not all movies are made by the big Hollywood production companies either. So to me, to take all of the movies that go to the movie theater and ball them up with the corruption of Hollywood isn't any different than saying that your local mayor and your city council are as bad as the Biden administration. I mean, there's no comparison. Corruption goes in like circles. Like you might have a real corrupt city. I think every state has one. I mean, that's just the way it is. The bigger it gets, that it gets so big, it becomes its own burden, basically, because everyone's a crook, greasing each other's hands or whatever. And the same thing was with Hollywood. But I don't believe that every single blockbuster movie that came out of Hollywood had corrupt people running it. You know what I mean? I think there's corrupt people in Hollywood, but I don't believe that all of Hollywood is corrupt. So, because I have been involved in a few things, and most of the sets I've been on, everyone is just a normal person that just wants to do their job, get their check, and go home. You know what I mean? Just like any other business. You go, you do your job, and you do it to the best of your ability because you want to be successful and you want to get a job on the next movie that comes to town. So, you get up, you work long hour, 12, 14-hour day, and you go home, get some sleep, get up and do the same thing until the movie's done. So, I was lucky to get to meet a lot of those people, and in makeup or building props or uh, running electrical wires or designing costumes or uh, you know putting people's makeup on or just finding locations. I mean, there's tons and stuff of jobs that you to just to make a TV show or a commercial. So I just don't agree with lumping all of them all together, because to me they aren't. The higher you get up in Hollywood, where you start making big bucks, that's when you start seeing the corruption, just like you do in politics. To me,
Yeah.
the higher up you get, the more corrupt you get. So try
It's
not
one
to go
man's
too
job.
high. And guess what? You can actually be just a normal person, but be able to pay your bills, you know, in Hollywood. So that's a good thing. And I wouldn't want to live there either. So even if I ever did become rich, if I won the lottery or something, I'm not moving to LA, New York City, or any of these places just because I'm rich now. You know what I mean? I just wouldn't do it. I don't care. I mean, I don't even think I could move to LA, even if someone said, "Hey, we'll pay you $1 million. Just move here, buy a house, blah blah blah." I would say, "I'm sorry, I can't do it." I'm actually one of those people that would say, I just can't do it. I just can't get up every day and look around and feel like I didn't sell my soul or something to be in that situation. And I think there's a lot of people that we don't give them credit that they said no. So, because we don't hear about it. We hear the news praising certain people, and the rest of them they just push under the rug because they don't want you to look up to these people because they chose not to be the ones that are involved in the middle of some of the scandalous stuff that we're seeing. So, I think Hollywood does have a chance, and the only way they're going to win is by us going to pay money to go see the stuff that we feel is good, and not just being going by the hype and watching it because it's hyped up. I just won't do it. I won't buy a ticket to a movie. I never saw Captain Marvel, and there's a couple other movies I haven't paid to see because I'm not going to give money to something I know is tearing down an industry that I love. And it's not gonna be my dollar bill. Even though my few dollars doesn't really make that much a difference, if enough people were to say no and not spend their money and help push the shit, we might win. We might actually get them to see, well, this isn't working. We're gonna have to go in a different direction because people are not gonna pay the money to see this stuff. This dribble sucks, and we know it, but now they know it, and we know they know it. So let's quit making it. That would be great, wouldn't it? Sorry for my
Well,
rant.
you're good. You're good.
But yeah. But yeah, I'm excited. Next week's gonna be really good. I'm looking forward to it.
Um, the part about this movie that if I was going to say anything negative about the Chronicles of Riddick, I would say that Vin Diesel's the weakest link. And I'm going to be honest about that because there's certain mannerisms or stances or postures he gets in this movie when he's accentuating something, and the director of photography has like a Vin Diesel porn moment where he fixates on Vin and Vin's posing and doing something. Now, I'm not talking about the over the top shit that he does with like the Frazetta stuff, which I actually really appreciate the homage to Frazetta that's done
Mhm.
repeatedly in this film.
Yeah.
But other things that are done that are repeatedly done in other Vin Diesel films, like there's a lot of over the shoulder looking, there's a lot of Vin Diesel quipisms where Vin has to look like the smartest guy in the room, which he doesn't have to do that. You're the shaved head bald dude with a
Yeah. And he's
with
big.
good physique.
He's a big
So
guy.
you don't need to be a brain, dude. You can be intelligent, but he would get away with more if he didn't try to go for the one-liners, because the era of the one-liners had died a generation before this, and he's trying to
Yeah.
honor that. But I think those fall flat. With those being said, this movie is an easy 3.5 to 4 star. I really think this out of 5. I really think this movie is an underrated classic. It's probably the strongest of the 3 movies that are done in the Riddick series.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I expect that Janet will pick Riddick for her pick next time. We'll find out. But I really think this is the strongest one, the strongest entry in the series because it had the most vision of expanding everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Twohy went all out trying to get this movie to have a bigger budget, and he had more sets, and he had more ideas, and he wanted to do more, 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 more. And it pisses me off that the final film in the trilogy goes back to be an homage to the first Pitch Black. It's like, stop! Y'all don't need that. Go back into Necromongers. You gave me
Yeah.
4 minutes of Necromongers in this movie. I wanted more. More.
Yeah, I
And,
felt the same way because at the end of this movie, he's sitting on a throne
yeah.
and it says you keep what you kill, basically. So what would he have done different and how would he have led the people? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
And
that's what I expected
I
from the
really
ending of
expected
this
that.
movie.
I expected Vaco to fuck him over because Vaco's got Dame Vaco as his wife.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But I
Sure.
expected that build up to happen throughout a 90-minute to an hour and a half to an hour and 45-minute film,
Mm-hmm.
not being surmised within 4 minutes, not being scrunched into 4 minutes and okay, you're back on the planet and here comes John's daddy. No, my bad. And I don't want
Yeah.
to get into that because I want to save that for our discussion.
But I agree with you. I definitely agree with you this time on this movie that Vin Diesel, even though the whole movie's based on Riddick, which is him, he was overpowered by other great actors and other character arcs. Even the gentleman that was the purifier guy, he even did a more glorious character arc, like I explained about him sacrificing himself to save him so he can save his race, basically. Even to redeem himself because he knowingly sent millions of people to their death, okay, and giving up their soul. Basically, they're giving up their purpose of what their race was meant to do. So to me, that was a big character arc for him. I thought his character was very important to see Riddick accomplish his goal. So I didn't see Riddick do that. The only big thing that Riddick did in this movie was at the very end when he stuck the knife in that guy's head because he happened to be able to predict that he was going to run from the axe that he was about to get, and that's what he was doing. And because he in that one battle that he had with him beforehand, he learned his moves. He learned his next step, his next motion. What would he do next by paying attention? Just like I said, he was really smart when it came to knowing what the next move was going to be, like, for playing chess. So basically he used that skill and that's how he outsmarted him. But that's basically the only thing he did. You know what I mean? He let the girl die. He just didn't stand up to what I felt he had, the potential he had from the first movie. Even though, remember, in the first movie, people tend to forget that he was going to leave everyone. He was really going to dump everyone and leave them there. It was the woman hero from the first movie is the reason why the last 2 people actually lived besides Riddick in the first place was because of her, not him. Now, the little girl that had her first period in the first movie that was attracting all the creatures was in love with Vin Diesel's character. She was obsessed with him. And that's all she could think about in her young, pubescent mind. And it led into the second movie, the same thing. It's like she said when she was dying that he was all she thought about, basically. So she was in love with him. It was her first and only love that she ever had in her life because she died loving him.
Oh, damn it. I just want to pause on that scene right here.
Yeah.
See that floor work, guys? I'm not saying that you can't do this in movies because they do this a lot in older movies. But that is a physical fucking floor that somebody had to go and craft and piece this together and paint and make it look that awesome.
Yeah, look, the detail. That's what I was saying. The gist.
Something pretty impressive about this. On this movie, it made 1.5 million in DVD sales the day that the director's cut came out to the stores.
So even after this much time, it hasn't made its money back?
It made its money back, mainly because of DVD. The director's cut made its money back. I don't know if they put a press release out talking about the extra 16 minutes, but I remember the commercials that came out right as the movie is being released. And that was where I thought, okay, I'll see it. And I was upset because I had gone to see the film at the theater and it was taken out. They took it out that day. They didn't even announce it to the papers because I got the information from the state urinal register.
Yeah. But see, that's another scene right there that you just showed.
Yeah.
That's twice 2 different people saved Riddick's life.
Yep.
Okay. So
I love the prop work.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, him being saved by others helped their character arc.
Mm-hmm.
She became a necromancer, but she still fought against it for the man she loved, basically. And she saved his life and died for it. See? Basically, he's the only man she ever loved in her whole life.
She's the only one she's ever known, really.
Well,
the only
yeah.
man she's ever known. I love that look.
Yeah. He's like, you're going to see, he's supposed to be all this. This is what I was talking about. He's supposed to be this huge god-like man, right? But he doesn't know he's being played too.
I so wish, you know what? Earlier tonight, the wife was eating a salad, and we threw away the Caesar salad dressing bottle because she was out of it, and I could have instead stabbed the Caesar salad dressing bottle on cam right when we show this scene. Ah, damn it. The things you think of.
It's hilarious.
Pole arms suck. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, see? Look at her. She says flawless because it's her plan.
Yep.
And she's being betrayed too. So see how many character arcs are being changed in this one scene.
Yep.
It's a good scene. I don't know how anyone can watch this and not think it's good. Because he has 2 choices. He's stuck in the middle. He's got to leave and face the Furion. And he does.
Fulfill a prophecy. Let the Furion kill you.
Yep. And then he breaks it off in his head. See, that's freaking cool. I mean, that is just an awesome scene. And see, what she predicted happened. The other woman's prediction is taken away from her. It's ripped right out of her hands. And her husband's, what he thought he was going to get is ripped out of his hands. And the king of the whatever they're called, necromongers, is ripped out of his hands. And the girl died and became a hero. And now Riddick's a hero. See, yay! It's a perfect ending. How can anybody not see that? I don't know, but that's what I see. But this movie showed Riddick's flaws, his character flaws in this movie. And that's what when the third one came out, I'm expecting to see his redemption from his flaws from the second part of his story. See?
And they scrapped the entire story because they couldn't get the funding. And Twohy was like, I am not doing a Conan the Destroyer. We'll discuss that later. But
yeah, remember, we've talked about this before a few times because I think we both have the same outlook for this character. I really do. It's very similar because we're expecting something that we know we're hoping we're going to get, but we end up not getting it.
I was promised a whole cow.
That's right. And you got one flank.
You gave me a chicken finger.
Yeah.
A chicken tendy.
So yeah, it sucks. But see, that's why when they made Lord of the Rings, he was a genius because he set everything up in advance that he would be the director of all the different movies and he would have all the same characters played by the same people.
Yes.
You see, that's the thing. Now, if they really like this Dune, this second Dune, the first one was really, really good. I was really happy. I was worried that I wasn't going to be happy, but so far everything that they had in it was very well done as a remake for me, as a believable. The scenery, the actors, the script, everything so far. But what bothers me is the fact they didn't film them both one after the other with all the same people. So I don't know what the second one's going to end up being like now. I have doubts.
I wonder if I got a policy violation.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I got to check.
What's that mean?
I don't know.
See, I'm trying to learn this stuff, but I don't do anything like this. I don't do an hour show or anything, so I don't understand all that.
I'm not seeing anything going on right now, but they're saying that in the chat, like ScrewTube hit him with a policy violation. 6 Nation 31 Kings. Did I get a what happened?
Yeah, explain if you can.
Because I just went over to YouTube and I'm not seeing any issues yet.
But how would he know?
No idea.
Yeah, me. I can't tell you. But it's terrible. We're talking about something that might bring more people to buy the DVD or watch the DVD. It may not be a million people, but I don't see why they would get mad at us for trying to produce more people to want to see this movie. I mean, I don't understand this. It doesn't make any sense to me.
The stream went down for a minute. We're back now.
Did it go down because of the bots?
It checked. They say it went down because we had too much of the movie shown.
Oh, didn't seem like it because we didn't even let the sound. Does it matter if the sound or not?
Yeah, I didn't. Copyright content is detected after copyright material is no longer streamed. They're automatically re-enabled. Okay. Well, that's fine.
I don't know what that means.
I have no idea what that means, but we'll figure it out.
Oh, well. We enjoyed ourselves. That's all that matters. Everybody that was in the chat, they got to see it. And if nobody else gets to see it, oh, well. They missed out because they should have been here to watch it live when we got in trouble.
I'm not exactly certain as to why they would be upset about this because there's worse things that I've done. Okay.
Maybe it was because you were talking bad about the Biden administration.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, that's probably what it was. I said some bad things too, so oh well. Sorry.
Yeah, check YouTube Studio. The studio isn't reflecting it yet, but this is what I just got. Hi, Bruce Lombardo, Dick's Division. Due to a copyright match, your stream is interrupted. Video tile, Girl Guy, movie Chronicles of Riddick. They're interrupted when copyrighted content is detected. When it's no longer being streamed, streams are automatically re-enabled. Sincerely, YouTube. Okay. Well, I'm sorry that you
So
guys.
there's just going to be a glitch in the posting then, right? That's all it
Yeah.
is. Oh, that's
So
no big deal.
no. So whatever. But I'm just. I was happy to watch this movie again. I really enjoy watching this movie. Like I said, Vin Diesel's probably the worst part about it, and I hate to say that, but he is. But there's a lot of good things he does in this film, and the fact that he worked so hard to get it made. He worked really hard with David Twohy, and if you've noticed, there's something about Vin Diesel. He always gets in character with his physique.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, his physique for this movie and the movies in the Riddick universe are a lot different than his character for Dominic in the Fast and Furious movies.
Uh-huh. He
He's
looks
still
a
a good
lot
guy.
slimmer. He looks a lot slimmer in the Fast and Furious to me than he does in this one.
Yep.
I remember, I think I did make a comment about it when we watched Pitch Black, when I said I was real impressed with his arms when they strapped him up to that pole
Mm-hmm.
before he ripped his shoulder out of the socket, that he was ripped, really ripped compared to what I remember seeing him in some of the other things. Because when you watch him in the future, like for like one or two of the first the racing movies, whatever that's called, Triple X or whatever. Yeah, Fast and Furious stuff. But then you go back and you watch something where he had to pump iron, just like Hugh Jackman, having to get pumped up to be Wolverine. You can tell that they went through a lot of work to get to look that way, because normally Hugh Jackman is way slimmer, not muscular like that. So that's a lot of work to pump iron and build up muscle and stuff to have a certain point.
The pumping iron and the working out isn't that difficult. It's the dieting, the discipline you must show when you pass by the fridge. That
Yeah,
right
or smell a
there.
burger cooking. That must
Oh
be
my
tough.
God. Like my hats off to you guys, because like I'm telling you what, I live in San Antonio now, and if like I'm hungry, like I said to Flady earlier, like I couldn't live in Philadelphia and be this size. I'd be 40 pounds heavier because they got Philly steak and cheese and pizza, and you got me in a mobile vehicle and I'm hungry. Oh, dude, Google Maps is my friend. Pizza truck near me. Direct me, Google, and
Yeah,
off we go.
yeah. Um, I mean, just like I said, when I was in New Orleans, not even 2 blocks away, I had a daiquiri shop, and I could go through the drive-through and order whatever kind of daiquiri I wanted with alcohol in it and take it home. So it's hard to say no when it's available at the tip of your fingers, basically.
Yeah,
So that
don't
is
make it
discipline.
available to me.
But I mean, I've made a video about, uh, if it costs you $20 a month to join a gym, that you can go there and interact with other people and work out, and it costs $20 a month. $20 is what it costs basically to go to McDonald's. Okay, so for the price of one fast food trip to the drive-through, you can sign up to go to the gym. But now it's still going to be you that has to get off your butt, get in your car, and go to the gym to work out. But that's up to you, and that's the discipline it takes to be able to do that. When am I going to do it? Before I go to work? After I go to work? What days of the week? 3 days a week? 2 days a week? 1 day a week? Start off 1 day a week and then work your way up. But it's up to us. We're the only ones that can do it. Just like quitting smoking or cutting down on drinking or whatever it is, it's up to us to make that decision. Stop going to Pornhub.
I feel
We have
personally
to say
attacked.
no.
Just kidding. I as we close out tonight's stream, because we're otherwise we're going to delve into politics, and you guys don't want that yet.
Yeah.
Me and Janet are in discussions right now as to what night would be best for a political stream. Not for very long, maybe about an hour, hour and a half. But we're talking about that as of this moment, and I'm pretty much game for it. I'd like to do it. It's just a matter of timing and when.
Yeah.
A crafting gamer says, I say at the beginning of the stream, my comments are relevant, and you hardly hear a peep out of me for the entire stream. Still, I enjoyed myself just listening, though. Dude, appreciate you were here. Anybody that was here. Shadow and Sun, Crafting Gamer, Six Nation 31 Kings, Flady One. Everybody say a prayer for Hungar the Starvarian tonight before you go to bed. Make sure you whisper his name to Jesus, because I really like that guy to stick around a little longer than what he's planned on, because he's just kind of a nice guy. He's one of those dudes that you're not going to have another Hungar, okay? So we got to enjoy the one we got with the time we have. I really like to see the guy stick around a lot longer. And his brother James is a pretty cool guy too, but James does a lot more streams than Hungar does, mainly because he's not in the hospital so much. Hopefully, if Hungar ever gets out of that rotation, we'll see more Hungar. It's still nice to see Hungar, even though he does get in the hospital, but I'd rather him not be hospitalized.
Yeah.
Don't forget the people in Turkey. Yeah, Turkey and Syria.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is that we need to also throw in some prayers, because it's going to be a while before we're going to find out how many people are actually killed or hospitalized. And they'll be digging people out. I mean, I saw a video earlier today on Twitter of them digging a baby out. And the baby was alive. So if they're all out there working at it right now, they could save a lot of people. And we just need to pray for it, because man, that was a big, big, big earthquake. And then all the aftershocks that have been huge too. It's just, and then I heard right after that, that there was almost a 4.0 earthquake in Buffalo, New York.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, it's bizarro. But I don't know. I hope that they can, and there's other countries like Israel was one of them that already stepped up to donate money and I think people and stuff to go help with this earthquake. So
you're going to see a lot of people getting on planes here in the next couple of days and going over to Turkey, and some various worldwide organizations are going to get involved with it. There was one that Paul Walker was involved with, that he was it was something worldwide, that he sent people to Washington, Illinois. After I left Washington the year after, in 2012, there was a really nasty tornado that tore up the southern end of town. And Paul Walker sent his people over there, and they helped put like 2 buildings together. They weren't just sitting on their ass, like, oh, we're here to help, but then they were on their phones all day. No, they seriously helped out, and they stepped up. And the people of the various organizations that came to Washington to help put it back together, it was good to see so many people with nothing in common, just kind of being in the same spot, and there to just literally to put the money to use to get businesses back together, to get families a shelter again. That was something that was big. So
yeah,
if you guys got the time tonight,
it's interesting to me that I start to get into a place where I start to lose, the light at the end of the tunnel seems to get to be smaller and smaller, and I don't see how we're ever gonna get out of it. It seems like it's gotten so bad, and there's so much corruption that there's just no way to get past it. And then we have a natural disaster of some sort somewhere that happens, and then you start to see people pull together to help total strangers, and even in another country from them, and they're all hurting themselves because they've lost jobs, they've lost family and friends due to the COVID and other things that's been going on, and people are still banding together to help total strangers. So to see the gift of people's hearts still reaching out to help somebody else, it shows that there's still hope. There's still hope for humanity, and that we have a chance to, again, we're given another chance to right all the wrongs that have been done, and that there's still people willing to do it out of the kindness of their heart. So maybe what's going on right now is, it's a terrible tragedy, but maybe something good can come out of it, and we can band together and say, okay, the stupidness has to stop, and we need to start taking care of each other and being there for each other. Like, the people in this chat, you get to see more and more people, and you start recognizing their names and stuff, and they start coming more and more, and you recognize even more names. And people saying hi to each other in the chat and asking about, have you seen so and so tonight, or have you heard from him or her? And it's like a camaraderie and our own fellowship, basically, to where we have people that we can talk to about the same things that we're interested in. And I like that. That's one of the reasons why I tend to gravitate towards the smaller groups of people, because when you get into a huge group, it's just hard to be yourself anymore, because now you're trying to just keep your head above water in the raging river. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I like it. I like the simpleness of smaller groups of people. That doesn't mean that we don't care about each other, or that we can't be caring or have fun. It just means that we get a little bit more personal touch with it. I like that myself.
Okay,
I do want to say thank you to everybody, and to please pray tonight for everyone that might need a little boost of love being sent their direction, and to know that they're not alone. Makes you feel good to know people are thinking about you.
And that's something that you probably don't hear quite enough of, where people are fighting up against literally the water that could drown them. They're trying to just make it in life, and they're barely able to do a dog paddle. If you can just, keep those people we've mentioned, or others that are here, dropping their names in chat, just think about it for a moment. Give them their moment. Give them their voice and their name, and just throw it there. Do your prayer, or if you believe in just, I'm sending positivity because you don't pray. Whatever you do, I'm not going to judge you if you don't pray, but I do want you to just give a second of positivity towards a person in need. Not on my behalf, I'm an asshole.
Yep.
This is mainly for them to receive the healing or the help or the ease, just a moment where it doesn't feel like the world is going to crush their windpipe. That's it. Janet, before I turn off the stream, would you like to say anything else?
I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming out and supporting us tonight, and just wanting to listen to us talk about something that we enjoy, and hopefully that we brought them a little bit of enjoyment. And I hope you all have a wonderful evening tonight, and please think about what you can do tomorrow and the day after to smile or just bring joy to someone else, because it sure makes me feel good when I turn my head and I haven't had that good of a day, and I turn my head and someone smiles at me, or says hi, or recognizes that I exist just by showing me that they see me. A lot of people don't realize how important that is sometimes. That's why when you look down at your dog and they wag their tail while they're looking up at you, because they know that you recognize that they're there. And I wish more people could do that. It only takes a few seconds, but it could mean a lot to somebody. That's all I want to say. But thank you guys, and I had a good time, and I love this. I love doing this every week. It makes me feel good, because I feel like someone else in the world enjoys the same thing I do, which is nice to look forward to each week.
and it's interesting because we have had some really fun battles on here.
But that's what makes it fun. Is I accept the fact that I know that you're not going to enjoy everything that I enjoy, and I'm not going to enjoy everything that you enjoy because we're not the same person. You know, we have our own things that we enjoy, but it's fun talking about it and knowing that you're not going to get mad at me because I don't agree with everything you say.
That's fine.
So that's what makes it fun to me.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing at all. Before we leave, the last thing I want to say is good night, sky. Good night, moon. And good night, mystery Chinese spy exploding balloon. Everybody, get yourself some refreshment. The balcony will be closing, but if you need to talk to somebody will be there to listen to you. I guarantee it. God bless you.